where it was 101, 100, and Aaliyah Boston started backing down from the three-point line, right? Now, pay attention to StephanieWhite. You're going to see her do a lot of this throughout the clips that I'm going to show y'all. And this just shows me Michaela.
It's not StephanieWhite overreacting on the sideline. It's a coach desperately trying to fix a possession that's collapsing in real time. Aaliyah Boston is visibly frustrated. CaitlinClark looks completely out of sync, and the Indiana Fever end up losing their season opener by 3 to a Dallas Wing squad that looked far more disciplined and prepared. So the real question becomes, what exactly is going wrong on the court?
Be running into Caitlin right here, and Caitlin is really confused, right? She's like, what's going on? And you're like, this doesn't happen to AB and CC. What's going on here? So after that, Aaliyah Boston, once again, she sees that it's a broken play, and then she just goes into, well, I'm about to drive, I'm about to make something happen type of mentality. And she got a foul off of this one, but I still would like her to be patient. I think they had like 11 seconds.
Just slow down and stay patient for a second. Watch that possession again. Aaliyah Boston literally collides with CaitlinClark at the top of the floor. Why does it happen? Because the entire play completely falls apart. The action was supposed to flow into a handoff, but Caitlin lost her positioning in the set. Sophie Cunningham is pointing everywhere trying to direct traffic, Boston is throwing gestures, and the whole offense is scrambling just to survive one possession. There are only 11 seconds left on the shot clock, and not a single player looks connected or on the same page.
But you're gonna see, watch StephanieWhite and watch CaitlinClark here. StephanieWhite is telling her, hey, you're supposed to do this, right? And Caitlin starts patting her chest saying, oh yeah, my bad, that's me. Right? Then she goes to AB and says the same thing. Look, they're fresh in the season, it's first game. So I think once they get acclimated with.
Now watch what happens once the possession completely breaks down. StephanieWhite immediately pulls CaitlinClark aside, but she's not screaming or losing control on the sideline. She's coaching. She's teaching in real time. And Caitlin taps her chest saying, my bad. My bad. That's accountability from your franchise superstar in the very first game of the season. But it also confirms exactly what the film has been showing all night long. The primary weapon in Indiana's offense is still trying to fully learn and adjust to the system.
It's also a little bit of Caitlin's fault and AB's fault as well, but I do feel like that's a coach thing. Tell them, hey, we need to get to the pick and roll, let's get to it. So let's take a look at this. Now, look, StephanieWhite is going to be waving AB up saying, hey, no, come up and set this screen, all right? As you can see.
And this is where the entire coaching criticism online starts falling apart. People keep attacking StephanieWhite for supposedly not using enough pick and roll with CaitlinClark, but the film tells a completely different story. Watch the possession carefully. Stephanie is literally motioning Aaliyah Boston out of the post because she doesn't want her sitting down low looking for a seal. She wants a strong, physical screen set high at the top of the key. Boston finally comes up, sets the screen, Caitlin turns the corner and gets downhill instantly. That's elite basketball execution. So the real issue was never whether StephanieWhite believed in the action, it's whether the players were consistently executing it the way she designed it.
Watch, just keep an eye on Stephanie right here. She's coming off the stagger, and Stephanie is waving. She's waving KK, but KK is not paying attention. Watch how she just started jumping out her shoes and socks over here, right? Little ghost screen for Caitlin. Look, finally the screen comes. Excuse me, the screen comes, and I think KK.
And this is exactly what makes the CaitlinClark coaching debate so complicated. On this stagger screen, StephanieWhite is clearly active, waving, pointing, and directing Caitlin to the precise spot she needs to be in. The problem is Caitlin doesn't pick it up in time. She's already loading up to receive the ball, but she arrives a couple beats late to the action. By the time the screen actually develops, she's forced to adjust on the fly. She shakes the defender, creates a tough angle, and pulls up for a contested jumper, classic Iowa-era Caitlin. The shot doesn't drop, and almost instantly the narrative shifts to coaching issue, even though the film shows something very different.
Kind of hesitant on getting over here, but yeah, Shepard is seeing that. That's a vet, man. She's gonna see that AZ is wide open, and she's a little late. Bang, knockdown. Now watch the frustration on Caitlin. See what I'm saying? So I would just say Caitlin should just have a goldfish mind Forget the last play, one play at a time, that's all that matters, and keep pushing forward. So let's take a look at this sequence here. You have Caitlin guarding on Enrique. It's going to be a two-man game.
This is where the frustration starts to show. CaitlinClark, one of the most dangerous pull-up shooters in college basketball history, knows exactly what it feels like when her rhythm is on, and in the first half of this opener, it simply wasn't there. You can see it on the defensive end too. After a few missed looks, she gets caught on a screen, reacts with visible frustration, and starts getting a little out of sync mentally. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston, the reigning Rookie of the Year, is actively trying to steady things and keep her locked in. That's not a player in flow, that's a star battling through a rough stretch, and that kind of frustration carries over into every possession that follows.
The earlier clips, but it was about 13, 14 seconds on the clock when StephanieWhite was telling AB to come out of the paint and set the screen. So that's what could have happened here, right? Caitlin comes up to get it. Now, watch this. You're going to see the team absolutely clear out, and Caitlin is about to go ISO on the co-defensive player of the year last year, right after losing the ball. This is why I believe
this is the clearest evidence that shuts down the StephanieWhite conspiracy talk. With 14 seconds left on the shot clock, CaitlinClark has just committed a turnover when Olivia Nelson-Ododa comes up with a steal. Sophie Cunningham briefly scans the floor but finds nothing. Then something very deliberate happens. The entire Indiana Fever offense clears out. Every player pulls away from the action, leaving Caitlin isolated with space to operate. Suddenly, the floor opens up into a one-on-one situation against last season's Defensive Player of the Year, and it comes right after a costly turnover in a game that was still within reach. That kind of setup doesn't happen by accident. It's a clear statement from the head coach. This is the moment, this is the player, go win the game. So if the argument is that StephanieWhite is limiting CaitlinClark, the film suggests the opposite, because no coach trying to suppress a player would consistently put her in those exact late-game situations.
It a little too much, because Sophie is telling KK, hey, come up, come up, come up. Look, she's telling her to switch right here, and KK, I don't know, she's not listening, or she just couldn't hear her, but Sophie is saying, come up and switch. This is your assignment right here. Let me get Paige, you get KK, you get Atlanta Smith, sorry. So, yeah, KK's not listening, and boom.
And this is where you have to be real about what's actually broken on this roster: effort. You can adjust schemes and game plans around a coach, but you can't cover up inconsistent hustle, especially when it comes to rebounding. In this sequence, CaitlinClark contests the shot. Aaliyah Boston is right there challenging as well, but once the ball goes up, the perimeter players don't react. One forward is flat-footed under the rim while Caitlin is battling through traffic trying to secure a rebound she should have had help on. Sophie Cunningham even has to physically tap a teammate just to remind her to get into transition. Meanwhile, StephanieWhite is on the sideline constantly yelling to push the pace. Go, go, go. That alone challenges the idea that this is a slow, grind-it-out offensive system. The intent from the coach is clear: play fast. The issue is the execution from the players isn't matching that urgency.
Check this out. StephanieWhite is waving Caitlin forward, and I think she's talking to Caitlin because Caitlin looked right at her right here. You have Isaiah James in the corner. I don't know if she's telling her to come trap right away, and we'll start rotating once that ball gets out of the trap. I don't know, but she's waving, and you can see Sophie is pointing as well. So I think they wanted Caitlin to come trap right away. But it didn't happen. Caitlin is confused. Yeah, she puts her arm up. Yeah, I think she's...
Watch CaitlinClark slam the ball and then check her body language toward the bench. Then look at StephanieWhite dropping her arms, both of them frustrated in that moment, neither side fully satisfied. To be fair, we don't actually know who was right on the defensive call. Stephanie was clearly signaling Caitlin to come up and trap in the corner. Caitlin hesitated, the ball got moved, and that led to an open corner three that was knocked down. If Caitlin had jumped the trap and the same result still happened, then it's a coaching issue. But she didn't execute the coverage, which means it becomes a shared breakdown, a coach and player simply not on the same page. That one possession basically sums up the game in about 20 seconds. And that's the bigger truth about Indiana right now. The first issue isn't coaching or talent, it's communication. Start with Aaliyah Boston. She's one of the best young post players in the league, but she often defaults to ghost screens. That works in certain actions, but when every screen turns into a slip or a ghost, defenses stop reacting. They sit back, stay home on Caitlin, and kill the roll. Suddenly, the entire pick-and-roll game loses pressure. StephanieWhite clearly understands this, which is why she's constantly waving Boston up to set firmer, more physical screens instead of slipping everything. The film supports the coach here, not the outside narrative. Then you have Kelsey Mitchell, who gives you strong offensive moments, like her finish off the Sophie Cunningham feed, but defensively she sometimes gets over-aggressive. She'll gamble for steals, leave her assignment, and open up shooters on the perimeter. That's not a scheme issue, that's decision-making on the floor. And with CaitlinClark, the first half shooting struggles were real. Her pull-up rhythm wasn't there, and instead of resetting fully, some of that frustration spilled into her defense. She gets caught on screens, shows visible frustration, and Aaliyah Boston has to help keep her engaged. That's not a sustainable dynamic for a team trying to grow together, even though her effort clearly improved in the second half. What people keep getting wrong about StephanieWhite is the idea that she's slowing the team down or holding Caitlin back. The film shows the opposite. She's calling for pace, pushing Boston into screening actions, and even giving Caitlin freedom in late-game situations. She's not restricting her, she's empowering her. So what's actually going on? 3 things: broken communication on new sets, inconsistent screening technique from the bigs, and lapses in defensive discipline from secondary rotations. None of that is a system problem. Those are habits, and habits get fixed over time. And that's the upside. Indiana lost by just 3 points to a very organized Dallas team, despite looking out of sync for most of the game. That tells you the gap isn't talent, it's cohesion. Fix the communication, tighten the habits, and this becomes a very dangerous team quickly.